students and faculty please rise for the passing of the stage party? Will everyone please rise for the singing of the national anthem by Jessica Vance?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Good afternoon. On behalf of the university community, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Spring 2017 Graduate Commencement Exercise. Let me begin by introducing the individuals sitting on the stage who are here to honor today's graduates and who represent the academic and administrative leadership of the university. We are pleased to have with us today representatives from Virginia Tech's Board of Visitors. Board members are appointed by the governor, and Virginia Tech greatly benefits from their deep and genuine commitment to the university. I am pleased to introduce these board members: James Chapman, Rector; Deborah Petrine; Thomas Ryan; and Steve Sturgis. I'd also like to welcome Montasser Abbas, faculty representative to the board; Alex Parrish, staff representative to the board; and Tara Reel, our graduate student representative to the board. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize with your applause these representatives of the university's governing board. At this time, I'm also pleased to introduce the senior leadership and deans of our colleges. Dr. Thanasis Rikakis, Executive Vice President and Provost; Dr. Karen DePaw, Vice President and Dean for Graduate Education; Dr. Amy Pruden, Associate Dean of the Graduate School; Dr. Alan Grant, Dean, College of Agriculture and Life Sciences; Mr. Jack Davis, Dean, College of Architecture and Urban Studies; Dr. Robert Sumakras, Dean, Pamplin College of Business; Dr. G. Don Taylor, Interim Dean, College of Engineering; Dr. Rosemary Bleasner, Interim Dean, College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences; Dr. Paul Winnesdorfer, Dean, College of Natural Resources and Environment; Dr. Sally Morton, Dean, College of Science; Dr. Cyril Clark, Dean, Virginia Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Sciences; Dr. Michael Friedlander, Vice President for Health Sciences and Technology; Dr. Teresa Mayer, Vice President for Research and Innovation; Dr. Sherwood Wilson, Vice President for Administration; Dr. Scott Mitzgiff, Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer; Dr. Patricia Perillo, Vice President for Student Affairs; Dr. Guru Ghosh, Vice President for Outreach and International Affairs; Mr. Matt Winston, Senior Associate Vice President for Alumni Relations. Also on stage are Dr. Joseph Marola, who will read the names of the graduates; Mr. Mohammed Sayem, the Graduate Student Marshal; Ms. Erin Lavender Stott, Graduate Honor System Chief Justice; and Ms. Samantha Freed, Director of Communications for the Graduate Student Assembly. The speakers and award recipients will be introduced shortly. Through the ceremony, we recognize your significant achievement and celebrate your talents, skills, and hard work. It's also important to note that these students would not have achieved their goals without the teaching, guidance, and mentorship of Virginia Tech's outstanding faculty. I would now like the faculty to please stand and be recognized. Just as crucial as the role of the faculty, the supporting cast of family, friends, and community members behind each graduate student deserve recognition. Would all the parents, grandparents, children, aunts and uncles, and all others who supported our students please stand so we can thank and congratulate you as well. Graduate students are important to the university's research, teaching, and engagement missions and are able to earn degrees in Blacksburg at locations across the Commonwealth and online. During the spring semester, 1,276 students earned advanced degrees and certificates from among 89 master's and 70 doctoral programs in 8 colleges across the Blacksburg campus. There are approximately 760 of those graduates here today. As part of the graduate commencement, we invite an outstanding graduate student to provide a brief message on behalf of the graduating student body, followed by the keynote speaker to provide reflections and perspectives. It is now my pleasure to present Virginia Tech's Executive Vice President and Provost, Thanasis Rakakis, who will introduce the graduate student speaker and the keynote speaker.
Thank you, President Sands. It is my pleasure to introduce our graduate student speaker, Sekila Melchior, a PhD candidate in counselor education. Well, we're so excited before you speak. Can you imagine how excited we're going to be after you speak? All right, great. She received the National Board of Certified Counselors Minority Doctoral Fellowship for her commitment to working with diverse populations and is a member of the Edward Boucher Graduate Honor Society. She also served as a graduate residential fellow in West Abler Johnson Hall and provided support for retention and other programs in the Office of Recruitment and Diversity Initiatives at the graduate school. Upon graduation, she will join the faculty of the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga's Counselor Education Program as an assistant professor and program coordinator of school counseling. Please join me in welcoming Sekila Melchior.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Good afternoon. Okay, I'll ask one more time. Good afternoon. What an honor it is to be here today with you all. On behalf of the graduating class, I would like to thank President Sands, Provost Rakakis, and Dean DePaul for enriching our graduate experiences. To the faculty and staff, our family and friends, thank you for joining us in this momentous occasion. To the graduates, congratulations on all of your accomplishments and best wishes on your future endeavors. Before I begin, because social media is everything, I want to share my catchphrase for this speech, #BeyondTheDegree. When I was young, I was told I would never accomplish anything, and the most I could possibly achieve was an associate's degree. I am thankful for my family who always believed I was destined for more, and to the many mentors who pushed me to achieve my potential. Join me in taking a moment to thank the people in our lives who are our greatest supports through this process. I began my journey here at Virginia Tech in 2014 in the counselor education program. I am a product of a minority serving institution. I am a product of a historically Black university, and I am a product of a predominantly white institution. I have spent the past 3 years not only becoming a scholar, but a stronger activist. When I was asked to speak at graduation, I was quite nervous, but also honored. What I hope to impart to all of us today is to go beyond the degree. We, as Virginia Tech graduates, have the power to make a change that impacts the environment, people, and policy. Individuals in hard sciences created a national outcry of the water contamination in Flint, Michigan. Students from all disciplines marched for women's rights, refugee rights, for climate change, the LGBTQ community, and Black Lives Matter. As students, we banded together in support of our Muslim community impacted by the travel ban, and we came together in unity for the Jewish students on campus. And Virginia Tech saw its first powwow. You did that, we did that, the students. As we leave here, let us never forget that we are more than individuals with graduate degrees, publications, and awards. We are world changers. Margaret Mead said, "Never depend on governments or institutions to solve any major problems. All social change comes from the passion of individuals." My hope for us is that we never forget what a privilege it is to have our education, and through that education that we may promote social change. For those of us who have been placed on the margins, let us now take our seat at the table. May we move forward with a sense of gratitude and a spirit of service. Let's go beyond the degree. Congratulations.
Thank you. Very soon to be Dr. Melchior. University of Tennessee is very happy and very lucky to have you. Today, I also have the pleasure to introduce Dr. Laura Lindenfeld. In 2016, Dr. Lindenfeld joined Stony Brook University in New York as director of the Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science and a professor in the School of Journalism. Prior to that, Dr. Lindenfeld directed the Margaret Chase Smith Policy Center, a nonpartisan independent research unit of the University of Maine, which aimed to inform public policy and societal decision-making. Much of her research has focused on environmental communication, especially in the area of sustainability. Her work has been published in numerous journals. Dr. Lindenfeld is passionate about helping scientists communicate their work in more direct and engaging ways. She also encourages efforts to build strong interdisciplinary teams that can communicate their work effectively and persuasively. Dr. Lindenfeld holds a PhD in Cultural Studies from the University of California, Davis. Please welcome Dr. Laura Lindenfeld.
Wow, you look awesome. How are you feeling? Oh, come on, are you excited? Oh! It's so exciting for me to be here with you today. I have such fond memories of being in grad school. It seems like only yesterday, and it's quite a few years, let me tell you, that I was sitting in one of your seats, waiting to get hooded for my PhD. At that time, I didn't see myself on the hugest screen in the world. Did you see that? That's pretty big. Oh, you can see it there too. Wow, that's even bigger. Grad school for me, like I imagined for you, was an amazing time. I made some of the best friends I had in my life. It was a phase of creativity, intensity, collegiality, and learning. I'd love to share a story with you about grad school, okay? One that shows a true passion for research and deep care for the world. My husband, whom I met when I was working on my degree at UC Davis, was in the entomology department. Any entomologists out there? Woohoo! Okay, here comes an entomology story. You have to tell me later if you've ever done this. At one of the departmental parties, a fellow doctoral student, Brian Fisher, described a trip he had taken to Africa, where he was working on his dissertation research that focused on a particular species of ants. Brian, who grew up in the cornfields of Illinois, managed to contract a very severe case of malaria, and he fell very ill. Brian had already been struggling with doubts about himself as a scientist and feeling that he had failed. He was becoming more and more delirious and sick with malaria by the moment. Exhausted, vomiting, and thirsty, he approached a group of pygmies who took him in and cared for him. Realizing that he needed more help than they could provide, the pygmies placed him in a bamboo backpack, and a woman trotted 23 kilometers to bring him to a clinic. It's a heck of a story, right? But it doesn't end there. The treatment saved his life. Once he began to recover, he needed someplace to go, and the pygmy woman came back, put him in the backpack, and brought him back, and he stayed with the group for 6 weeks, where he recovered and got to know the community. He talks about how that community really helped him to see the forest and nature and science and society in a totally different light. The whole experience made him realize he wanted to develop a different relationship with nature. He realized that science alone wouldn't save the rainforest. And I have to tell you, the PS on this story is when he went back, the pygmy tribe that saved him was no longer there because of deforestation. When Brian was telling this story to his colleagues, he also shared that he had contracted some other illnesses during this trip. If his colleagues didn't already understand the drama that he had gone through in the pursuit of knowledge, they certainly did when he rolled up his sleeve and showed them live botfly larvae wiggling under his skin. Have any of the entomologists ever done that? here? No? It was pretty dramatic. Brian, in an effort to share what I think of as the wonder and intensity of his research experience, had opted to leave these creatures temporarily in place till he got home so he could show his colleagues firsthand evidence of his fieldwork. He wanted to show people what it was like to be there. It wasn't just enough to come back and tell them. He wanted them to feel it the way he had felt it. I certainly hope your own experiences have been rich with story, perhaps not as skin-crawling as Brian's, but that you are finding powerful ways to share your work and engender a sense of care about the research and scholarship you've done during your time at Virginia Tech. By the way, Brian is fine. He's actually doing great. He's now the curator of entomology at the California Academy of Sciences, and he's an exemplary science communicator. He has a marvelous ability to convey science in what we at the Alda Center love, a clear and vivid manner. He shows openness, vulnerability, humor, and a distinct passion for his work. That's the most powerful way to communicate knowledge. That's where it's at, folks. It's about making us care about you and your work and demonstrating care for others. That's really where it's at. That care helps us value the knowledge that each of you produces. And it means showing up as humans and sharing pieces of ourselves with each other in creative and engaging ways. You are and have been in the business of generating knowledge. You've worked so hard in labs, in libraries, in the field, in classrooms, in communities. You've read, examined, analyzed, written, calculated, and presented information. Moving the knowledge that you and other researchers and scholars produce into action is so important right now more than ever, at a time when the basic idea of facts is under fire. We must find better ways to bring facts to the table. Directing the Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science at Stony Brook is truly an adventure for me, not one, fortunately, involving live larvae under my skin. But it is part of a lifelong adventure that brought me here today. And I know you have your own Center for Communicating Science, and I hope that while you were here, you got to have some experience of that center, or that you will in future. And what's cool is I get to try out being a Hokie for the day. Here's what I think. The world is a better place because of the work you've done. And I want to commend you on the strength, integrity, and diligence that brought you together today. Congratulations to you, your friends and families surrounding you, the faculty and staff of Virginia Tech, the community that supported you. Now, what are you going to do with that knowledge? How are you going to make it matter more? What I've learned is that knowledge only goes as far as the connections you make with other people. In our work at the Alda Center, we use improvisational theater techniques to foster connection. I love telling scientists we're going to put you through improv. It's pretty funny. They love it, actually, and you would too if you haven't done it already. That doesn't mean we teach researchers to be actors. Instead, we help people remember what it feels like to be a full-fledged human being. There's such power in the humility of knowing that other people have important insights to share, and feelings as well. And I think that's what moves knowledge forward. I love how Alan Alda describes what it feels like to connect. So he shared this quote with me to read for you today. He says, when you get that connection, then something happens to your voice. You see the other person's face. You see whether or not they're getting what you're saying. They hear you in a different way because your voice changes. You get more intimate, more personal. You use language that they understand because you're taking into account who they are. It's really the old idea of knowing your audience. but it's knowing your audience right now, in the moment, and not just in general. Like, I can see you are hot. Are you hot? It's hot up here, too. Don't worry. You'll have fun tonight, I promise. It requires paying attention to the other person, which gives you the chance to know what they're thinking and what they're feeling, knowing your audience in the most direct way. Lovely quote. Communication is connection. It's the ability to truly see and connect with another person. Communication is rooted in curiosity of and respect for other people. I did not always get this concept. Many years ago, my grandmother Fran, who played honky-tonk piano and suffered no fools, pulled me aside and looked me directly in the eyes. I was a young teenager at this point, and I was very wrapped up in the self-conscious angst that drives so many of us to look at ourselves and forget the world around us. In short, I was behaving like a spoiled brat. And she called me on it. She said, "Who are you that you think you're so important that everyone else is looking at you?" Well, right now you kind of are, but that's beside the point. Her words at the time stung, and yet they had that ring of truth that you just can't ignore. At first, I could not comprehend that my beloved grandmother, who I knew loved me inside out and backwards, wouldn't think I was important, but that's not what she was saying. I dug deeper into her meaning. She was telling me it's not about me, it's about us. It's about the work we do, it's about all of us. If I was so focused on what everyone else might be thinking about me, which they weren't, I was missing out on the ride of my life, the excitement and wonder of the people and the world around me. I actually learned to become less self-conscious over time. Although, like any of us, I still have my moments where I worry what people are thinking about me. And it's in those moments of worrying about how we come across to others, rather than focusing on how we're engaging with each other, that we lose connection and we fail to communicate. It's exactly what my Grandy Fran was saying to me when she said with love and care to get over myself. So what does it mean to connect? To really connect with another person? And why is that connection so important for sharing knowledge? To connect is to give up the notion that we are in sole control of a situation. Connecting requires empathy, the ability to put ourselves in the shoes of someone else and imagine what it's like to be them. And it requires humility, the acknowledgement that others have knowledge, insights, and experiences to share that we can learn from. Connection requires something personal of us, some pieces of vulnerability that let other people see us and who we really are. That can feel a little scary, like we're exposed. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with the work of Brené Brown. Has anybody read Brené Brown or watched her? I love her work. She studies vulnerability, and I love this quote. She says, "We are hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives." So in other words, our very imperfections are what make us human. And it makes us so much more interesting when we show pieces of this uniqueness to each other. All right, true confessions. I have circled the sun on this planet 52 times now, and I hope for a lot more trips, and I hope you have many more too. I've picked up a few things on this crazy wild ride that might be helpful. Let me see if they could help you. So I got 3 points. It's famous, right? You want 3 points. Number 1, take whatever feedback you can get. Have you ever been afraid to hear what other people thought of you? I know that feeling. Being afraid of hearing feedback meant I wasn't open to others. If I heard what other people thought of me, the earth might open up and swallow me whole. Remember the words of my grandmother? This is exactly what she was getting at. Of course, the point was lost on me at the time that people think what they think. Getting feedback could only be helpful, and frankly, it's fun to learn about yourself. Not always, but mostly. I heard author and leadership expert Paul Schmitz talk about his book, Everyone Leads, Building Leadership from Community Up. It's an excellent book. He described how he shared a list of quote unquote things he sucked at with colleagues. In the end, he said, people can see what you're good at and what you're not good at. Why not embrace that, acknowledge it, and find people to work with who are good at things that you're not? Wow, what freedom humility provides. Why not acknowledge where we fall short? It's not like other people don't see that I suck at many things. I have no poker face, you could probably tell that already. I'm not the world's most patient person. I have a tendency to be impulsive. I really, really hate dealing with itty-bitty, teeny-tiny, nitty-gritty details. Guess what? Every single person who knows with me, lives with me, works with me, is married to me, my poor husband, is friends with me, figures this stuff out pretty fast. So rather than fighting feedback, why not invite it? Embracing your own imperfection opens the doors to deeper connection with other people. It invites them in. It opens us to learning and gives other people opportunities to show where their strengths can complement yours. Okay, number 2. True confessions, this one is really hard for me, but I'm gonna share it anyways. Slow down. This one's hard for me because I actually really like the feeling of moving fast. Slow down. Take it all in. Be present. When we move so fast all the time, we miss the richness and the details. Does anybody here know the song Vienna by Billy Joel? Can I see a show of hands? All right, so I'm gonna do the equivalent of showing you live botfly larvae in my arm, and I'll hum a few bars, because I have been obsessed with this song since it came out as a teenager, about the age when my grandmother shared those important words with me. So I sing it to myself in my head a lot and out loud in the car. So this is like me in the car, okay? Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. If you're so smart, tell me, why are you still so afraid? That wasn't so bad. That's vulnerability right there. I'm shaking in my space boots. Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You've got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. And he says, Vienna waits for you. This past winter, we took our 13-year-old son, Mika. We live on Long Island in New York. We took our 13-year-old son, Mika, into Manhattan for the day, which is so awesome. You get on the train, you go into the city. He was bored to death on the subway. So he reverted to playing with what? His phone. You guessed it. At one point, I leaned on him and made him put the phone away. Look around you, I said, channeling my best inner Billy Joel. There are such fascinating people on this subway. It's a true statement. He rolled his eyes. I probably would have too. But he was willing to go along. Within a few minutes, we noticed a young mother with 3 kids in tow. She was exhausted and stressed. And the 3 kids were bouncing rambunctiously off the subway car's walls. And if you've ever been in a crowded subway where you can't hold on, somebody's gonna get hurt. It was packed, and somebody would have gotten slammed if they didn't hold on. Mika, sweet guy that he is, made eye contact with the kids. He slowed down and he started to entertain them. For 15 minutes from Manhattan to Queens, he got them excited about marine science. He told them about how sharks have denticles, and that not all of them are dangerous, and many of them love to eat squid, which of course he loves to eat because sharks love eating squid. They were enraptured by the maturity of this much older child and willing to latch onto him in the jam-packed car. The mother expressed immense gratitude for Mika's attention to her little ones. Mika connected. Of course, we still argue about the phone here and there, but the experience stuck. Slow down. Take it all in. There's pleasure in being where you are when you are there and noticing how it feels. Even if it's 90 degrees, I swear, it's a pleasure to take it in. You will never have this moment again. This is connection. Number 3, this one is easy for me. A little humor goes an awful long way. When in doubt, insert some laughter and a smile. Alan Alda has this quote in one of his books. I think it's great. He says, when people are laughing, they're generally not killing each other. Makes sense, right? Psychologists know that laughter makes us better colleagues, better spouses, better parents, better friends. Connection involves laughter. Brilliant comedian John Cleese, one of my favorites, he once said, laughter connects you with people. It's almost impossible to maintain any kind of distance or any sense of social hierarchy when you're howling with laughter. Laughter is a force for democracy. It's powerful. I'm not suggesting you show up to a party with live parasites in your arm, but do find ways to laugh and make others do so. Last week, my colleague and friend Sarah texted me about a person she wanted me to meet. She said, you two are professional goofballs and you're going to love each other. Many years ago, I might have been really offended by that professional goofball comment, worrying about how I present myself to the world. Should I not be more reserved, together, always on top of things, perfect, in other words? As someone who grew up trying to imitate the actor Gilda Radner, known for her zany antics on the original show of Saturday Night Live, I fought against my own nature for way too long, trying to hide some of the madcap, kooky aspects that actually define me, and how hard I worked to suppress what was actually quite unique and maybe fun about me. It's a lot of trying to be someone you're not, and really, it's boring. How often do you find yourself judging aspects about yourself that are actually what's best about you? I might just want to add the title Professional Goofball to my business card. I'll have to see what Alan Alda thinks of that first. He might like it. What if you let more of you shine through? Warning, you run the risk of showing up as a human being when you share who you really are. And that's a marvelous thing. In fact, it's exactly what we need to make the important and wonderful knowledge you produce go so much further. I want to see what you have invested so much time and energy in doing really have an impact, really take hold. I want your work to matter. And I want you to celebrate your individual strengths and what's so very unique and important about you. People will listen to you when they connect with you. They will care not only about you, but about the work that you do. It seems so incredibly simple. I encourage you to try it. Look other people in the eyes and imagine what they're feeling. And share back with the world who you are and what marvelous knowledge, insights, and experience you have to share. It's worth the risk. Believe me. Okay, one last thing. Can I take a picture, you guys? I mean, this is so awesome. Where's my camera? Give me a big smile. Yay! Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Lyndon Feld, for sharing your passion, sharing that we can be vulnerable, but I'm not singing on this stage. I just would announce that. And for your commitment to helping us be better communicators about our science and our scholarship. At this time, I will ask Mr. Matthew Winston, who is the Senior Associate Vice President for Alumni Relations, to join me in the presentation of a very special award. The Graduate School and the Alumni Association established the Graduate Alumni Achievement Award to recognize graduate alums who have achieved the highest goals in their fields. I am very pleased to announce that the 2017 recipient of the Graduate Alumni Achievement Award is Dr. Robert Dee Allen. Dr. Allen, would you please come forward?
Here we go. Had to pull it out.
Thank you. I'm pleased to recognize this year's recipient of the Graduate Alumni Achievement Award, Dr. Robert Dee Allen. Dr. Allen is a distinguished research staff member and senior manager of the Materials Discovery and Innovation Department at the IBM Almaden Research Center in San Jose, California. There he conducts chemical and materials research for IBM. A native of Sharon, Pennsylvania, Dr. Allen earned a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Gannon College before ultimately matriculating to Virginia Tech to pursue his graduate degree. While a graduate student, he researched living anionic polymerization and earned a PhD in polymer chemistry from this institution in 1985. Immediately thereafter, Allen began working in the area of photoresist at IBM, and he was later named a SPIE Fellow for his pioneering work in that particular field of study. A member of the National Academy of Engineering, Dr. Allen received the American Chemical Society's Award in Industrial Polymer Chemistry in 2004, and he became a fellow of that prestigious organization's Polymer Division in 2015. In recognition of his distinguished career achievements, Dr. Allen was elected to Virginia Tech's College of Sciences Hall of Distinction just this past fall. It is my pleasure to present to you Virginia Tech's 2017 Outstanding Graduate Achievement Award for Alumni, an individual who represents the Hokie Nation so well and makes us all so proud, Dr. Robert Dee Allen. You sure can. Would you like me to hold that for you?
Sure. Thank you so much. I'll just keep this very brief. Loved coming back here to Virginia Tech. I love my time at Virginia Tech. And while you get your PhD, you develop friendships and collegial relationships that really span the rest of your career. I have a connection with Dr. Tim Long here, who's director of the Macromolecular Innovation Institute. We worked together in graduate school. I'd just like to thank him, my professor, the late great Professor Jim McGrath, and my company, IBM, who's given me 30 plus years of all kinds of fun working in science and technology. Thank you very much.
Each year, we select, or each commencement actually, we select a graduate student for special recognition. Today, we are recognizing a student who was a very familiar and friendly face to many in the graduate school community, Danya Hockey. She earned her PhD in Architecture and Design Research last fall and will be officially hooded here today. Danya worked at the Graduate Life Center Welcome Desk and with the Graduate School's Professional Development Program. I want to thank her for all of her efforts during that time that she worked with us, but I also want to recognize her, and actually her father, and a mentor, a faculty member here. I want to recognize them for their commitment to graduate education. What I want to point out is Danya is not the first in her family to receive a PhD. Her father earned a PhD in environmental planning and design, and both she and her father worked with the same mentor, Patrick Miller, who served on the Father's Committee and was one of the co-chairs of Danya's committee. And he received an Outstanding Mentor Award from the graduate school this year. And part of the reason to recognize, and Rafi, I know you're someplace over here. Danya, would you please stand? Rafi, please stand. They have joined us from Syria today. Congratulations. Now, every graduate student in this room has a story to tell about their journey. And we don't have time to go through all of those stories, but I do want to highlight and recognize some of the students and their accomplishments. And I would like to start first today with inviting all of those students who have earned their degree online to please stand. I know there's, yes, thank you. Remain standing. Not very often do we are able to call out our online grad students, our part-timers from Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, Roanoke, well, Roanoke's part of us actually, but anyway, and our other locations around the state. So please stay standing. Please stand, rise and remain standing if you have taken the communication science course or participated in a workshop. And I know you're out there. Yes, I know you're out there. Don't be shy. Okay, I did that for our Dr. Lyndon Feld. Yes, and there are more than are actually standing. Please rise and remain standing if you are a recipient of a national or local fellowship or scholarship. Okay, don't be shy. Or received a scholarship from a donor from Virginia Tech. Please stand and rise if you are a recipient of the Grad School's Award for Outstanding Master's Students or Doctoral Student in each college, the Alumni Association's Graduate Teaching Excellence Award or Service Awards, William Preston Society Award, or Grad Student of the Year. Please rise and remain standing if you were recognized as a Graduate School Citizen Scholar, Diversity Scholar, participated, a member of the Edward Boucher Honor Society, participated in the Global Perspectives Program. More of you should be standing. I hope you're getting the theme here. Please stand, rise, and remain standing if you were inducted into the Interdisciplinary Research Society, Iota Delta Rho. Please stand if you have served the university by participating in the Graduate Honor System, in governance through the Graduate School Assembly, or on a committee, or representative to the Board of Visitors. Please stand and remain standing. I'm going to get you all standing here. If you have participated in a research symposium, the GUMP program, if you had a teaching, research, or grad assistantship. Okay. I'm getting there. Please stand if you have ever visited the Graduate Life Center here in Blacksburg, or the Graduate School in the National Capital Region. That should get many more of you. Attended the Grad School GTA workshop. Attended a lecture symposium class held in the GLC. Reserved one of the rooms. Used the reading room. Rented the bikes, the GLC bikes. Lived in the Graduate Life Center. Used the walk-in service, immigration services, stats lab, writing counselor, or relaxed at the GLC Plaza. Okay, I have failed miserably because I haven't gotten everybody up. But, if ever all the grad students would stand, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, these are our graduate students. You may be seated. Thank you. In spring 2004, the graduate school began a tradition of presenting a musical gift of an original composition written solely to celebrate the graduate students' commencement and their journey through grad school. This music accompanies a visual journey of the graduate student life so that we can provide you with a glimpse of the diversity and vitality experienced by graduate students each year. This year, we have a new composition by Associate Professor Eric Lyons, and it is entitled Of the Beginning. Professor Lyons describes the piece as a minimalistic exploration of the sounds and textures of a double brass quintet composed as a palindrome. I am hearing this for the first time, and I am delighted to share that with you. Please take a few minutes to view the screen and the music that accompanies the images and reflections.
we will now begin the conferral of degrees. A very old and special, A very old and special tradition in academia accompanies the presentation of the doctoral degree. The doctoral candidate and the student's major advisor, the advisor who most mentored and supervised the student's research, walk together to the stage where the advisor places the hood over the head of the graduate. By hooding the graduate, the faculty member symbolically welcomes the graduate as a professional colleague, and the professional relationship and friendship often continues throughout the graduate's and the mentor's lives.
Will all candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees please rise? President Sands, I have the honor to present these candidates for the Doctor of Philosophy and the Doctor of Education degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Education degrees to which you are entitled, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
Please be seated. Will the marshals please escort the candidates for the doctoral degrees and their major professors to the stage for the hooding ceremony? Professor Joe Marola will read the names of the doctoral recipients and the hooding professors.
Receiving the Doctor of Philosophy from the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences in Agriculture and Extension Education, Rachel Eve Kennedy, hooded by Professor Eric Kaufman. In Animal and Poultry Sciences, Sheng Chen Su, hooded by Professor Eric Wong. In Animal Sciences, Dairy, Liang Chen, hooded by Professor Benjamin Coral. In Biochemistry, Danielle Virginia Miller, hooded by Professor Robert White. In Crop, Soil, and Environmental Sciences, Elise Virginia Clark, hooded by Professor Carl Zipper. Gordon B. Jones, hooded by Professor Ben Tracy. Xiao Qin, hooded by Professor Kong Xia. In Entomology, Atashi Sharma, hooded by Professor Igor Shorakov and Professor Maria Sharakova. In horticulture, Jeb Stewart Fields, hooded by Professor James Owen. Mara Celeste Grossman, hooded by Professor Holly Scoggins. In human nutrition, foods, and exercise, Mustafa Mahmoud Abdalaziz Ali, hooded by Professor Matthew Hulver. Sarah Elizabeth Johnson, hooded by Professor Matthew Hulver. From the College of Architecture and Urban Studies in Architecture and Design Research, Danya Haki, hooded by Professor Lisa Tucker and Patrick Miller. In Environmental Design and Planning, Maria de los Angeles Adamas, hooded by Professor Joseph Scarpesi. In Planning, Governance, and Globalization, Elizabeth Stevens Beck, hooded by Professor Karen Holt. From the Pamplin College of Business, in Business Accounting and Information Systems, Lee Jun Lei, hooded by Professor Bowie Hassan. Arthur Richard Petzel III, hooded by Professor John Mayer. Mi Zhou, hooded by Professor John Maurer. In Business Marketing, Jung Hyun Kim, hooded by Professor Paul Hare. Rebecca Rabino, hooded by Professor Paul Hare. From the College of Engineering, in Aerospace Engineering, Ian Andrew Clark, hooded by Professor William Davenport. Mandar D. Kulkarni, hooded by Professor Robert Canfield and Professor Mayuresh Patil. Maria del Carmen Rey, hooded by Professor Cornell Sultan. John Shun Wang, hooded by Professor Heng Xiao. In Biological Systems Engineering, Jun Young Yen, hooded by Professors Ryan Sanger and Glenda Gillespie. In Biomedical Engineering, John Michael Scanlon, hooded by Professor Clay Gabler. Chen Sun, hooded by Professor Chong Liu. In chemical engineering, Carlos Jose Landaverde Alvarado, hooded by Professor Stephen Martin and Professor Amanda Morris. Alicia Rochelle Pape, hooded by Professor Stephen Martin. Chen Chan, hooded by Professor Timothy Long. In civil engineering, Mohammed Ahmed El-Badawi Taha Abdelmagid, hooded by Professor Hesham Raka. Jun Lee Chai, hooded by Professor Christopher Moen. Matthew Jun Ho Chan, hooded by Professor Peter Weichsland. Aritra Chatterjee, hooded by Professor Christopher Moen. Behshad Gadimi, hooded by Professor Michael Garvin. Gina Rachel Jayamon, hooded by Professor Finley Charney. Sohail Kamalzadeh, hooded by Professor Guni Olgan. Ardalan Kasropour, hooded by Professor John Taylor. Abraham Lama Salomon, hooded by Professor Christopher Moen. Jacob W. Metch, hooded by Professor Amy Pruden and Professor Peter Weichsland. Nida Mohammadi, hooded by Professor John Taylor. Mohammad Reza Moharami Gargari, hooded by Professor Ioannis Koutramanos. Maria Elena Nieves Melendez, hooded by Professor Jesus de la Garza. Unkit Bidan Patuk, hooded by Professor Amy Pruden. William J. Rhodes, hooded by Professor Mark Edwards and Professor Amy Pruden. Thomas Lewis Spencer, hooded by Professor Antonio Trani. In computer engineering, Mahmoud Sobi Taufik Awadallah, hooded by Professor Lynn Abbott. Videshwar Kumar, hooded by Professor Jungmin Park. Xiao Chi Chin, hooded by Professor Tom Ho. Vivek Vanagopalan, hooded by Professor Cameron Patterson. In computer science and applications, Panayotis Apostolelis, hooded by Professor Doug Bowman. Serdar Aslan, hooded by Professor Osman Balchi. Austin Corey Bart, hooded by Professor Eli Tilovich. Prithwish Chakraborty, hooded by Professor Narendran Ramakrishnan. Fatma Elzara Sobi Eid, hooded by Professor Lenwood Heath. Sharif Hani El Maliji Abdelhamid, hooded by Professor Christopher Kuhlman. Vishwas Heber Venkata Subarao, hooded by Professor Adrian Sandhu. Konstantinos Kromidas, hooded by Professor Wu Chan Feng. Sun Shin Lee, hooded by Professor Edward Fox. Mahdi Nabiyuni, hooded by Professor Doug Bowman. Mohammed Saad Sayam, hooded by Professor Scott McCrickard. Hannah A. Torquay, hooded by Professor Lenwood Heath. Paul J. Tranquilli, hooded by Professor Adrian Sandhu. Yao Wang, hooded by Professor Manuel Perez Quinones. In electrical engineering, Dong Dong, hooded by Professor Kai No. Nathaniel Anthony Frizzell, hooded by Professor Michael Rohonimi. Dee Hu, hooded by Professor Anbo Wang. Brian Alexander Yadlian, hooded by Professor Tom Howe. Akshay Kumar, hooded by Professor Charles Clancy. Seung Ryul Moon, hooded by Professor William Bauman. Jeanette Donan Nunangnon, hooded by Professor Timothy Pratt. Avik Sengupta, hooded by Professor Charles Clancy. Carlos Gustava Tua Martinez, hooded by Professor Timothy Pratt. Rushi Wang, hooded by Professor Kai No. Jemin Zhang, hooded by Professor Kai No. In engineering education, Daniel S. Brogan, hooded by Professor Vinod Lohani. Cassandra J. Groen, hooded by Professors Lisa McNair and Denise Simmons. Glenda Young, hooded by Professor David Knight. In engineering mechanics, Mohammad Ismail Al-Bakri, hooded by Professor Pablo Tarazaga. Sayed Massam Kalagian, hooded by Professor Saeed Tahiri. Priyal Shah, hooded by Professor Romesh Batra. In industrial and systems engineering, Prasanna Kumar Raghavan, hooded by Professor Michael Taffe. In materials science and engineering, Yan-Shi Lee, hooded by Professor Guo Chuan Lu. Yi Yan, hooded by Professor Guo Chuan Lu. In mechanical engineering, Tariq Maisara Abu Hamdia, hooded by Professor Saeed Takeri. Yang Chen, hooded by Professor Mehdi Ahmadian. Bahare Esteyab, hooded by Professor Francine Battaglia. David John Griffiths, hooded by Professor Alfred Wicks. Chaitanya Vishwajit Halbi, hooded by Professor Walter O'Brien. Milad Hussainipur, hooded by Professor Mehdi Ahmadian. Sandeep Kedukodi, hooded by Professor Srinath Ekad. Ying Liu, hooded by Professor Ray Chow. Vijaya Venkata Narasimha Sri Ram Maladi, hooded by Professor Pablo Tadazaga. Austin Allen Phoenix, hooded by Professor Pablo Tadazaga. Sridharan Ramesh, hooded by Professor Srinath Ekad. Mehdi Tahiri, hooded by Professor Mehdi Ahmadian. In mining engineering, Shu Tang, hooded by Professor Nino Ripepi. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, in career and technical education, Jamie Munn Simmons, hooded by Professor William Price. In counselor education, Wan Jin Lee, hooded by Professor Nancy Bodenhorn. Shakila Shamima Melchior, hooded by Professor Nancy Bodenhorn. In curriculum and instruction, Donnie Steve Coleman, hooded by Professor Mark Sanders. Christina K. Hay, hooded by Professor George Glasson. Alicia Leneala Johnson, hooded by Professor John Burton. Zareen Ondin, hooded by Professor William Holbach. Zeynep Ondin, hooded by Professor John Burton. Krista Marie Stith, hooded by Professor Jeremy Ernst. In higher education, Elsa Camargo, hooded by Professor Stephen Janosic and Professor Claire Robbins. Michael John Kutnak, hooded by Professor Stephen Janosic. Delight Bena Yokli, hooded by Professor Stephen Janosic. In Human Development, Kendra Ann O'Hara, hooded by Professor Karen Roberto. Lynn Tan, hooded by Professor Cynthia Smith. Raven Weaver, hooded by Professor Karen Roberto. In Rhetoric and Writing, Jessica Marie Beckett, hooded by Professor Sheila Carter Todd. Laura Jane Collins, hooded by Professor Bernice Hausman. In Science and Technology Studies, Jennifer J. Henderson, hooded by Professor Saul Helfon and Professor Gary Downey. David C. Wynyard, hooded by Professor James Collier. In Social, Political, Ethical, and Cultural Thought, Michelle C. Duramo, hooded by Professor Katrina Powell. In Sociology, Eleanor Seidman Smith, hooded by Professor Dale Wimberly. From the College of Natural Resources, in Forest Products, Elham Mohammed Zadi, hooded by Professor Young Tek Kim. In Forestry, Mickey Gald Allen II, hooded by Professor Harold Burkhart. Shyama Dilanta Seriwardena, hooded by Professor Kelly Coburn. In Geospatial and Environmental Analysis, Jobraith Scott Kaufman, hooded by Professor Steve Prisley. From the College of Science, in Biological Sciences, Tristan Alonzo Hayes, hooded by Professor Christopher Lawrence. Samuel Peter Schiffauer, hooded by Professor Carla Finkelstein. Tat Pong Tuyananda, hooded by Professor Eric Nilsson. Hardik M. Zatakia, hooded by Professor Brigitte Sharp. In Chemistry, Robert Charles Chaplesky, hooded by Professor Diego Troya. Jeffrey Foster, hooded by Professor John Matson. Scott Charles Radzinski, hooded by Professor John Matson. Christina Lynn Roth, hooded by Professor Tiana Grove. In economics, Xiao Wan Liao, hooded by Professor Wen Yu. Thorsten Matji, hooded by Professor Thorwald Tideman. Michael Michaelidis, hooded by Professor Aris Spanos. In geosciences, James G. Dale, hooded by Professor Leonardo Mahelsia. Sarah Elizabeth Maza, hooded by Professor Leonardo Mahelsia. In mathematics, Xiao Feng Chen, hooded by Professor Leonardo Mihalcea. Jing Chui, hooded by Professor Shu Ming Sun. Samantha H. Irwin, hooded by Professor Stanka Kupa. Ryan M. Schiffler, hooded by Professor Leonardo Mihalcea. In physics, David Bravo Berguno, hooded by Professor Bruce Vogelaar. Jide Guo, hooded by Professor Eric Sharp. Jiang Ah Lee, hooded by Professor Randy Heflin. Michael A. Meeker, hooded by Professor Giti Kodaparast. Eric M.C., hooded by Professor Hans Robinson. In statistics, Matthew James Keefe, hooded by Professor Christopher Frank. Yu Hyun Sung, hooded by Professor Scotland Lehman. Miao Yuan, hooded by Professor In Young Kim. From the Virginia, Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine in Biomedical and Veterinary Sciences, Abdullah Mamdo Aweshe, hooded by Professor Kurt Zimmerman. Sophie Helen Bogers, hooded by Professor Jennifer Barrett. Receiving interdisciplinary doctoral degrees in genetics, bioinformatics, and computational biology, Dalesa Agamezari, hooded by Professor Ruth Green and Professor Eva Kolakova. Lin Kong, hooded by Professor Pavel Mikhailuk. Robin Varghese, hooded by Professor Ji Sheng. From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Doctor of Education in Career and Technical Education, Jason Edward Perry, hooded by Professor William Price. In Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Felicia Foster Barnett, hooded by Professor Ted Price. Maxine Austin Casey, hooded by Professor Glenn Earthman. Fontaine Monique Ferdaby Johns, hooded by Professor Ted Price. Gregory Lee Forrest, hooded by Professor Glenn Earthman. Sean DeVell Green, hooded by Professor Ted Price. Lisa Ann Harding, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Bartholomew Irwin, hooded by Professor Michael Kelly. Scott Lewis Jefferies, hooded by Professor David Alexander. Timothy Erskine Johnson, hooded by Professor Michael Kelly. Jayton Norkeisha Jones, hooded by Professor Ted Price. Lisa Gaybauer Newell, hooded by Professor Glenn Earthman. Lisa Marie Perkins, hooded by Professor Ted Price. Kimberly Ann Pinello, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Michelle K. Porter, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Molly Lynn Sullivan, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Chavis Renee Thomas, hooded by Professor Carol Cash. Sean T. Trosper, hooded by Professor Glenn Earthman. Glenda Powell Walter, hooded by Professor Ted Price. Daniel Scott White, hooded by Professor Ted Price. Crystal Lynn Wilkerson, hooded by Professor Ted Price. From the College of Engineering in Electrical Engineering, Leah Mohammadi, hooded by Professor Kwong Jin Ko.
Please, let's give a round of applause to our newest doctoral degree holders. Currently, the graduate school offers the Education Specialist degree and many distinctive master's degrees. The largest number of those master's degrees are from the disciplines that confer the Master of Arts or the Master of Science degree. Other master's degrees include the Master of Fine Arts, Master of Business Administration, and professional master's degrees in disciplines such as architecture, business, education, engineering, forestry, information technology, landscape architecture, natural resources, public affairs, public planning, and public health. Will all the candidates for the master's degree in education specialist please rise? President Sands, all the education specialists and master's degrees. That's everybody on this side. Okay. Yeah, I thought we had lost a whole lot of graduates. President Sands, I have the honor to present the candidates for education specialist degree and master's degrees.
With the power vested in me by the Board of Visitors and the Commonwealth of Virginia, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the master's degrees to which you are entitled, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto.
Now you may be seated. Will the marshals please escort the candidates for the education specialist degrees and then the master's degrees to the stage. Professor Joe Marola will need the names of the master's degree recipients.
From the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the education specialist degree, Michelle Hughes. Kelsey Bybee, Teresa Hash, Karen Jones, Julie Sturgill, Natasha Weddle, Dawn Bofo, Pamela Bixby, Catherine Garrett, Rhonda Epps, Rhonda J. White, Monica Lynn Williams, Tawanda Shirley, Sarah Mendez, Jared Boone, Justin Risney, Melanie Brown, Christina Frias, Deirdre Cox, Stephanie Davis, Christopher Benson, Josh Neighbors, Elizabeth Megan Ambergy Schuler, Amanda Dorton, from the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, receiving the Masters of Science in Agricultural and Applied Economics, Brett Hathaway. Muntasir Hassan, Sydney Jackson, Wesley Johnson, Wei Zhang, Jia Fang Zhu, receiving the Masters of Science in Agricultural and Extension Education, Shreya Mitra, Karen Temple, receiving the Masters of Science in Agricultural and Life Sciences, Nikaya Thomas, Amanda Curry, receiving the Masters of Science in Animal and Poultry Sciences, Jamie Burkhart, receiving the Masters of Life Sciences in Biochemistry, Kendra Buffkin, receiving the Masters of Science in Crop, Soil, and Environmental Sciences, Robert Longest, Jordan Ulrich, receiving the Masters of Science in Dairy Science, Connor Owens, Eleanor Caford, receiving the Masters of Life Science in Food Science and Technology, John DiStefano, Thomas Saunders, Lauren White, Christopher Winslow. In Human Nutrition, Foods, and Exercise, Linda Staley, Christopher Angeletta, Sarah Liu, Timothy Fitzpatrick, Lori Moore, Olivia Schwartz, Erica Hess, Taylor Vashro, Taylor Brownell, Catherine Wingfield, Trevor Simmons, Molly Bremer, from the College of Architecture and Urban Studies, receiving the Master of Architecture, Wei Chu. Shu Hong Sun, Philip Jankowitz, Ryan Myers, Julia Vasquez, Armagan Bezad, Lancian Zhang, Walter Haim, Jeremy Harris-Smith, Divya Natiyal, Enyanaya Onikubiri, receiving the Master of Science in Building Construction Science and Management, Jeremy Brenner, Tyler Houghton, Daniel Moore, Jingyi Liang, Fang Liu, receiving the Master of Public and International Affairs in Government and International Affairs, Catherine Case, Caitlin Fitzgerald, receiving the Master of Landscape Architecture, Nicolaus Proctor, Carlin Tracy, receiving the Master of Public Administration, Annabelle Fusilier, Stephanie House-Niamki, Adam Browns, Meredith Colonna. Receiving the Master of Urban and Regional Planning, Alexander Berryman. Michael Stapor. Andrew Willie McCrae. Receiving the Master of Public and Administration and the Master of Urban and Regional Planning, Tara Dawn Reel. From the Pamplin College of Business, receiving the Master of Accounting and Information Systems, John Bennett. Hannah Beach. Crystal Mueller. Claire Hibble. Morgan Hawkins. Alexandria Lyon. Julie Lamont. Jordan Freight. Emma Adams. Kyle Begley. Cameron Daniels. Sarah Vipperman. Emily Wright. Margaret Howell. Tyler Dotson. Tucker McNally. Paolo Guma. Han Sol Kim. Alexander Eaton. Chuang Nguyen. Joanna Bai. Bao Jin Bryant. Lu Yu. Yue Wang. Dani Zhu. Han Wang. Receiving the Master of Business Administration, Tanya Argueta. Ted Legess. Trey Phillips. Ryan Plummer. Nathaniel Getu. Hallie Winston. Melissa Bizjak. Emily Kaiser. Grayson W. Daffron. Cam Fulgham. Michael Smith. Sarah Hunt Fippen. Eduardo Vilasis Calderon. Kwabena Tufor. Altea Marie Ollinger. Nathan Ong. Ricky Kuo. Receiving the Master of Business Administration in Marketing, Melissa Biolci. Isabel Biaggi. Francesca Neva. From the College of Engineering, receiving the Master of Science in Aerospace Engineering, Samuel Rubenking. Joshua Eddy. Rocket Man Joshua Jenkins. Joseph Taylor, Patrick Clark, Lauren Clark, Jonathan Nichols, Aaron Turner, William George, Marcy Stuber. Receiving the Master of Science in Biological Systems Engineering, Lauren Wind. Receiving the Master of Science in Biomedical Engineering, Evan McConnell. David Sproul. Brittany Bilhouse. Receiving the Master of Science in Civil Engineering, Jacqueline Keeney. Corey Zimmerman. Avery Weston. Christian Mooneyham. Shubham Manikayalanhali Puta Boragada. Abhishek Parihar. Venkata Sai Krishna Chitrapu. Nishant Tamakuwala. Sri Ram Sankaranarayanan. Sagar Shah. Venkata Rohit Grandi. Sanchit Arora. Mohammed Al-Jamal. Pedro Bencochia. Maya El-Kortbawi. Arash Tavakoli. Eduardo Rodriguez Arriaga. Christine Pankau. Yi Chun Liu. Mohit Matthew. Rahul Rajaram Padalkar. Shi Duan. Kianaush Kompani. Ezra bin Arif Edwin. Matthew Sander. Akash Anil Jain. Sri Rama Bhaskara Kumari Duvuri. Edwin Frere Burgos. Nida Sayed. Charles Conrad. Santiago Vinuesa Palacios. Juliana Rochester. Trevor Zabo. Yanki Liang. Romaric Komeja. Varsha Kuchimanchi. Suraj Rao. Apurva Bobhati. Kamesh Manivanan. Mayank Kurana. Vivek Prasad Valayutham Kandasamy. Pavan Kumar Silla. Lokesh Palani. Clark Olson. Receiving the Master of Science and Master of Engineering in Computer Engineering, Sharath Kumar Bhatt. Pooja Harikopa. Charudata Chitali, Nilish Vemula, Prirana Rani, Hemendra Rawat, Anshuman Verma, Nikita Tata, Sai Nisanth Bodapudi, Harsha Mandadi, Pranav Asokan, Pranith Guram, Shobal Atupuraf, Shobek Atupuraf, Sagar Yami Yavar, Samiksha Arora, Sushma Burujupali, Anusha Pillai, Arpit Goyal, Amit Kashal Rao, Amruta Kulkarni, Harsh Patal, Prakriti Gupta, Devashri Kulkarni, Vedahari Narisman Ganisan, Sachin Vasant Parambe, Mohammed Salman, Pranav Murti, Saket Vishwasrao, Arijit Ray, Caleb Stroud, Minkan Kao, Pradeep Reddy Vaka, Balaji Arun, receiving the Master of Science in Computer Science and Applications, Rachel Kohler, Hannah Roth, Philip Summers, Sangeetha Banavati Srinivasa, Krati Nayar, Shivam Maharshi, Andrej Galat, Varun Subramanian, Saravanan Jayakumar, Jagathshree S. Iyer, Alexander Kedrowich, Joseph Sagisi, Walid Chabeni, Sarab Chakravarti, Zara Gaid, receiving the Master of Science and Master of Engineering in Electrical Engineering, Suprotim Majumdar, Sarat Saluru, George Elrahi, Benjamin Conlon, Aheli Ghosh, Shomi Ghosh, Faiz Abidi, Lu Xing Wang, Pramit Bao, Ivan Taro, Suraj Dos, Anisha, Sri Lekya Reddy Meda, Monisha Gnanachandra Daniel, Hui Hui Peng, Garrett Rosich, Mudit Khanna, Eric Aponte, Deepti Agarwal, Akanksha Sharma, Samiksha Tomar, Nishith Chauhan, Durga Lakshmi Narayana Swami Inti, Biniyam Zawede, receiving the Master of Science in Environmental Engineering, Laurel Strom, Catherine Gray, William McHugh, Akshay Jain, Kristen Brooks, receiving the Master of Science in Industrial Systems Engineering, Undweli Grant, Stuart Cook, Xu Yuan Liu, Ying Shen, Yu Jin Tong, Anki Wang, Suresh Malhotra, Narayanan Radhakrishnan, Shailesh Mittal, Thomas George, Manjot Singh, Pritam Viyakumar Solanki, Akash Yadav, Ankit Thakur, Pamela Williams, Sayatan Biswas, Aditya Vijayakumar, Ankit Pandey, Kartik Ram Senthivel, Satyajit Upasani, Siddharth Ponala, receiving the Master of Science in Materials Science and Engineering, Cameron Crowell, Mohammed Faizan, Joshua Merritt, Seth Golden, receiving the Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Jackson Klein, Christopher Kappas, Rochelle Wijaratni, Tyler Kapil, Yun Shu Meng, Caitlin Wheeler, Thomas Coleman, Peter Hill, Dexter Austin, Zachary Koster, Richard Fedora, Kelly Webster, Sam Koski, Lauren Cashman, Nishant Banot, Anup Cherakuri, Thomas Matthews Vayalat, Prakar Todaria, receiving the Master of Science in Mining Engineering, Ryan Molka, Casey Jennings, Matthew Monyo, Joshua Brandman, Kyle Abramson, from the College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences, receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Career and Technical Education, Joseph Talbert. Benjamin Stodola, Kelly Slaybow, Amy Buckingham, Christina Kreider, Christina Persinger, Rebecca Lovett, Ashley Edwards, Elizabeth Wilson, Mary Hardesty, Becky Sue Henry, receiving the Master of Arts in Foreign Languages, Cultures, and Literatures, Cristobal A. Nieto Mejia, Mary Gibson, receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Curriculum and Instruction, Jules Clayton, John Sturgill, Krista Colley, Tara Benyer, Caitlin Rockefeller, Mason Ailstock, Brian Odenwald, Patricia Garvey, Aaron Dreeland, Caitlin Brown, Mary Childress, Monica Galeano Leguizamon, Margaret McCarthy, Amy Hahn, Clint Witten, Emily Brown, Holland Harper, Marion Nito, Sterling Cup, Louis Young, Nicole Segala, Kelsey DeChambeau, Jack Jagodzinski, McKenna Hayes, Austin Rakes, Elizabeth Miser, Leanna Coates, Elena Johnson, Catherine Canary, Bridget Annunziata, Caitlin Daly, Eleni Back, Samantha Gooden, Haley Looney, Adam Stonerook, Sarah Christensen, Ashley Granados, Kimberly King, Rebecca Henderson, Stephanie Cohen, Laura Holtzapfel, Taylor Morris, Lindsay Powell, Morgan Hash, Caitlin Strickland, Jacqueline Bowling, the incredible April Myers, Kelsey Edelman, Morgan Sykes, Alexis Shump, Kristen Crocker, Chelsea Ray Zeidman, Ashley Lohr, Maria Miller, Carolyn Page Vickers, Adrienne Leigh Foki, Jed Z. Castro, Carol Stutzman, Tina Coates, Stephanie King, Donna Snyder, Dawn Hall, Kathleen Odell, Amy Jennings, Aidan Lewis, Hannah Blaze, Stephanie Lyon, Elizabeth Fort, Marcus Seacrest, Alina Dorito, Jean Dever, Rebecca Lamas, Megan Degnan, Emily Bishop, Rhonda Bell, Amanda Rorden, Casey Ruder, Morgan Ball, Anna Drew, Nathan Rogers, Daniel Balberin, Catherine Christian, Laura Jarrett, Leigh Shannon, Mary Anna Garifo, Ching Dong, Receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, Jennifer Murphy. Ellen Hyman. Curtis Sumner. Victoria Lehman. Leslie Lenhart. Renee Green. Stephanie Burgess. Camille Williams. Clinton Leigh Patterson. Charles Dunbar. Carolyn Williams. Sherry Sadler. Christy Elliott. Megan Horan. Nathan Reeves. Isabella Sereno Beres-Beitia. Shamika Hilton. Ashley Carr. Amanda Olimpio. Maria Schroen Kelly. Alexandra Matthews. Patricia Rose. Elise Tracy. Erin Sonessa. Larissa Wellen. Heaven Lay. Jonathan Adams. Colleen Correll. Receiving the Master of Arts in Education in Higher Education Administration, Sienna Abdullahad. Lauren Wiley. Aaron Coyley. Jade Carcamo. Nicholas Martin. Tracy J. Weiss. Kelly Brower. Alexander Burkholz. Ryan Beck. Kristen Coffey. Carly Wilson. Stephen White. Receiving the Master of Arts in Material Culture and Public Humanities, Bridget Pettit. Catlin White. Amy Mikhail Taylor. Receiving the Master of Arts in Political Science, Thomas McGeady. Lakara Nunnally. Receiving the Master of Science in Science and Technology Studies, Taryn Abrahams. Joshua Earl. Receiving the Master of Fine Arts in Theater Arts, Willie Caldwell. Donna Thompson. Davesha Gibson. From the College of Natural Resources and Environment, receiving the Master of Science in Fisheries and Wildlife Sciences, Sasha Doss. Receiving the Master of Science and Master of Forestry in Forestry, Ethan Barker. Jonathan Matiak. Receiving the Master of Science and Mastery of Forestry in Forest Products, Eduardo Molina Montoya. Samantha Panthanusi. Receiving the Master of Science in Geography, Jessica Suggs. Julia Sherry. Chance Rasso. James Skeen. Receiving the Master of Natural Resources, Nasser Abdelhadi. Robert S. Eaton. From the College of Science, receiving the Master of Science in Biological Sciences, Kyle Swetkowski. Matthew Hedden. Receiving the Master of Science in Mathematics, Caleb Copeland. Mariette Wessels. Receiving the Master of Science in Statistics, Yi Yuan Wu. From the Virginia-Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine, receiving the Master of Science in Biomedical and Veterinary Sciences, Lauren Groom. Receiving the Master of Public Health, Jonathan Davis. Heather Sriranganathan. Zaina Shabani. Miriam Saleh. Rebecca Sherrod. Kestrel Miller. Natalie Popsui. Mary Gallagher. Andrew Riddle. Amanda Cadado. Cameron Rose. Nicole DeLu. Ellison Scullin. Bridget Anderson. Emily Lewis. Kara Griffin. Lindsay Davis. Catherine Ronk. Cody Anderson. Christina Giles. Shelby Turner. Annie Lloyd. Carlisle Sheely. Owen Strom. Julia Sherry. From interdisciplinary degree programs, receiving the Master of Information Technology, Curtis Coleman. Whitney Dano. James Douglas Jones. Daniel Maloney. Christopher Sean McClure. Brandon McKagan. Christopher Nelson. Dina Salem. Jonathan Spence. Alan Williams. In landscape architecture, Aline De Sousa. Nuclear engineering, Manzira Kane. Yonjo. Yonjo.
A round of applause for all of our new graduates. Congratulations. I will now invite Matt Winston, Senior Associate Vice President for Alumni Relations, to share congratulations and a message on behalf of the alumni.
Trust me, I will be brief. Thank you very much. This is my favorite part of every commencement ceremony because it's my opportunity to say to the graduates in front of me, welcome to the Hokie Nation. Congratulations to each of you. You are now officially alumni of the greatest institution on the entire planet, that is Virginia Tech. This is a special day for you, and it's a special day for this institution because you are now joining a legion of Hokies, more than 250,000 strong around the world, who, because of their experiences here, are solving problems, serving their communities, changing the world in which we live, play, and breathe each and every day. As graduate students at Virginia Tech, you each played a unique and multifaceted role within our community. You brought your own undergraduate experiences into a higher level of learning and inquiry. You brought your unique skills and perspectives from the workplace or from military experience or from a humanitarian perspective and from your own upbringing here. And you introduced all of that into the fabric of this place. Many of you served as students, some of you as researchers, still others as teachers, and many of you as institutional ambassadors. And some of you did all of that at the same time. That makes what you have accomplished here at Virginia Tech incredibly remarkable. You gave your talents to our community, and for that you have my admiration, you have my respect, and you have my gratitude. For the spirit of our university, Ut Prosim, has been lived through you, and that is the effort in which I believe you delivered it here to us. As the newest class of Hokies, we will depend on you to continue that sense of service wherever you go. Be an ambassador for the university that has supported you. Visit campus often, remaining engaged to the mentors and to the major professors and research sponsors who made your experience very enriching. Mentor other Hokies who come behind you, and share what makes our community so special with others. And tell us where you land in the world so that we can keep you connected to Hokies nearby. As you go on, you will face big opportunities and difficult challenges. But what you have gained here at Virginia Tech will arm you with the tools needed to overcome any obstacle before you. Know that from this point on, for the rest of your lives, that the world will expect extraordinary things from each of you because you are now graduates of Virginia Tech. On behalf of the Virginia Tech Alumni Association and the 250,000 Hokies around the world, I say congratulations to each of you. We cannot wait to see what you do next. We are Virginia Tech. Go Hokies.
And now, as a final note, I would like to call upon Dr. Monty Abbas, who is president of the Faculty Senate, to bring a short message of congratulations on behalf of the university faculty.
Good afternoon, Hokies. What a wonderful day. I want to start by welcoming your families and friends. I would like to thank them on your behalf and thank everyone who shared your academic journey from inception to this great moment. On behalf of the faculty at Virginia Tech, those who taught you, contributed to your research, and interacted with you on a daily basis, and on behalf of your own advisors, I'm proud of you. For your achievements, your patience, your dedication, your long nights of hard work, and your innovations and overall contributions to everything we hold dear at Virginia Tech. Hokies, go build the future. You are armed with knowledge, intelligence, passion, and youth. Don't ever despair. For every night, there will be a following sun, and for every difficulty you face, there will follow a shining success. Don't think for a moment that there is something you cannot do, because you can. Look at those sitting around you and get to know them. Build your network now and keep it thriving. You, them, and everyone around you today will be the leaders in the coming years. You represent Virginia Tech, and through you, we will invent the future. No pressure, Hokies, we do believe in you. Embody the ad prosim at heart, live, love, and work hard, and let your work speak about you. Make the world a better place for all of us. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Abbas. And a special thanks to Dr. Marola as the reader of names, to the faculty, yes, that's deserving of an extra congratulations. To the faculty ushers and marshals, to Jessica Vance and the members of the Virginia Tech Brass Ensemble for their part in this afternoon's ceremony. Now, I'd like to ask you to please stand until the stage party has recessed. With the recessional, our ceremony will be concluded. Thank you for joining us, and have a safe trip home.